You've been lied to about sleep, not intentionally, but systematically. Because while you were told that 7 to 8 hours is enough, the real truth is far more powerful. Deep sleep is not just rest, it is a biological reset sequence for your brain. A nightly neurological factory reset that determines your memory, your intelligence, your emotional control, and even how long your brain stays young. And if you're not getting enough of it, your brain is essentially running tomorrow on corrupted data from today. In the next 20 minutes, you're going to understand something most people never will: how elite performers, neuroscientists, and biohackers actually engineer deep sleep for maximum cognitive recovery, neural repair, and mental clarity. This isn't about sleeping longer, it's about sleeping deeper. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to trigger that deep restorative state every single night, deliberately, predictably, and naturally. Let's begin. Every human brain operates on a rhythm, a cycle of electrical activity, hormone release, and neural cleanup that only fully activates when you enter deep sleep, what scientists call slow-wave sleep. This is where the real magic happens. During deep sleep, your brain performs something extraordinary. It physically shrinks certain cells to allow cerebrospinal fluid to flush out toxic waste products that build up during the day. Think of it like a nighttime cleaning crew clearing metabolic debris from your neural pathways. At the same time, your hippocampus begins transferring memories into long-term storage. Skills you learn today? Consolidated. Emotional stress? Recalibrated. Cognitive noise? Filtered and reduced. Without deep sleep, none of this happens properly. Instead, your brain wakes up overloaded, like a computer running 50 tabs, 3 viruses, and no restart. Now here's where biohacking changes everything. Because deep sleep is not random. It is triggered by a set of biological signals you can control: body temperature drop, cortisol suppression, melatonin timing, and most importantly, nervous system downshifting from sympathetic fight mode into parasympathetic repair mode. Most people fail at sleep not because they don't try, but because their biology is still in daytime survival mode when their head hits the pillow. So tonight, we begin the first principle of deep sleep engineering. You don't force sleep. You guide the brain into it. And the first step is understanding how to shut down the signal that is silently destroying your sleep quality every single night. Stress chemistry, cortisol, the hormone that keeps your brain alert when it should be powering down. Because if cortisol is high at night, deep sleep becomes biologically impossible. And in the next part, I'll show you exactly how to shut it off using precision behavioral and environmental switches that elite performers use to enter deep sleep within minutes, not hours. Now listen carefully, because this is where most people completely fail at sleep, even when they think they're doing everything right. You can have the perfect mattress, the quietest room, even the right bedtime, and still never reach real deep sleep. Why? Because your nervous system is still wired for survival. And survival biology always wins over sleep biology. Let's break this down. Your brain has 2 primary operating modes. The first is the sympathetic state: alert, reactive, high cortisol, fast thinking. This is your day mode. The second is the parasympathetic state: slow, restorative, repair focused. This is your night mode. Deep sleep only happens when your body fully commits to the second one. But here's the modern problem. Most people bring their day mode into bed with them. Scrolling on your phone until the last minute, watching fast-moving content, responding to messages, thinking about tomorrow. Even low-level emotional stress keeps your brain electrically active, and that activity blocks the transition into slow-wave sleep. So the first real biohack is not something you add, it's something you remove. You remove stimulation, but not just obvious stimulation, hidden stimulation. Blue light is one, yes, but even more powerful is cognitive stimulation, because your brain doesn't differentiate between a work email and a survival threat at 11 p.m. It responds with the same alert chemistry: cortisol, dopamine spikes, and elevated heart rate. Now let's go deeper. One of the most powerful sleep switches in human biology is temperature regulation. Your core body temperature must drop by approximately 1 to 2 degrees Celsius to initiate deep sleep architecture. If your body stays warm, your brain stays alert. That's why elite sleep biohackers manipulate their environment deliberately. Cool rooms, around 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. Warm showers before bed, not to heat you up, but to trigger a rebound cooling effect afterward. Because when you exit a warm shower, blood rushes to the skin and your core temperature drops rapidly. That drop is a biological signal that tells your brain, sleep cycle initiated. But there's another layer most people never consider: breathing. Your breath is a direct control lever for your autonomic nervous system. Fast, shallow breathing keeps you in alert mode. Slow, extended exhalation activates vagal tone, the gateway to parasympathetic dominance. This is why controlled breathing before bed is not relaxation, it is neurological programming. You are literally instructing your brain to shut down alert circuits. And when you combine these three elements, low stimulation, optimized temperature drop, and parasympathetic breathing, you begin to unlock the entry point into deep sleep. But entering sleep is only half the equation, because the real transformation happens after you fall asleep. In the next part, we go inside the brain itself, into slow-wave sleep, and uncover how memory consolidation, emotional detox, and neural regeneration are actually engineered at a biological level, and how you can amplify it. Now we go deeper, literally into the most powerful phase of your entire sleep cycle. This is where deep sleep stops being rest and becomes biological reconstruction. Slow-wave sleep is not passive, it is active brain engineering. During this stage, your brain shifts into a low-frequency electrical pattern. Neural firing slows down dramatically, but that slowdown is exactly what allows repair to begin at a massive scale. First, memory consolidation. Everything you learned today, faces, conversations, skills, information, is still fragile when you go to bed. It exists in short-term storage, unstable, and temporary. During deep sleep, your hippocampus begins transferring that data into long-term cortical storage. Think of it like moving files from a temporary desktop into permanent memory folders. This is why students who sleep deeply after studying outperform those who stay up longer revising. They are not working harder. They are allowing their brain to actually store the work. But memory is only one part of the story. The second process is emotional recalibration. Your brain is constantly collecting emotional charge throughout the day. Stress, frustration, anxiety, excitement. If this charge is not processed, it accumulates. Deep sleep acts like an emotional detox system. The brain replays and reevaluates emotional experiences in a chemically safe environment, stripping them of excessive intensity. This is why after a good night of sleep, problems feel smaller. Not because the problem changed, but because your brain reprocessed the emotional weight attached to it. Now here's the most fascinating part: neural waste clearance. During deep sleep, your brain activates a system that expands the space between neurons, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flow more efficiently. This flow removes metabolic waste products that build up during waking hours. If this system is disrupted, those waste products accumulate and impair cognitive function over time. In simple terms, deep sleep is your brain's cleaning cycle. No deep sleep equals no cleanup, and no cleanup equals cognitive decline over time. Now here's where biohacking becomes powerful. You can amplify slow-wave sleep, not by forcing it, but by increasing its depth and stability. One method is consistency of sleep timing. Your brain runs on circadian rhythm, an internal clock that predicts when sleep should happen. When you sleep at random times, that clock weakens. When you sleep at consistent times, deep sleep becomes stronger and more efficient. Another method is reducing nighttime glucose spikes. High sugar intake close to sleep can disrupt slow-wave cycles by increasing metabolic activity when the brain should be slowing down. And finally, pre-sleep mental unloading. Because unresolved cognitive loops, unfinished thoughts, stress loops, planning anxiety, keep neural circuits partially active during sleep, reducing depth. But even if you optimize all of this, there is still one final layer most people never reach. The quality of your morning determines the quality of your next night. And in the next part, we uncover how morning light, movement, and cortisol rhythm actually program your deep sleep for the following night, creating either a recovery cycle or a breakdown cycle. Now here's something most people completely miss, and it's the reason their sleep stays inconsistent even when they do everything right at night. Deep sleep is not only built in the evening, it is programmed in the morning. Your sleep quality tonight is heavily determined by what you do within the first hour of waking up. Because your brain runs on a 24-hour hormonal loop called the circadian rhythm. And at the center of this system is one of the most misunderstood hormones in the human body, cortisol. Most people hear cortisol and think it's bad. That's incorrect. Cortisol is not your enemy, it is your timing signal. In a healthy system, cortisol should spike shortly after waking. This is called the cortisol awakening response. It tells your brain, day has begun, activate alertness, set the clock for tonight's sleep cycle. But here's the problem in modern life. That spike is often weak, delayed, or dysregulated. Why? Because people wake up in darkness, immediately check their phone, flood their brain with artificial information, and skip natural light exposure. This confuses the brain's master clock. And when your internal clock is confused, your deep sleep becomes unstable. So the first morning biohack is light exposure. Natural sunlight within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking is one of the strongest circadian resets available. It anchors your brain's timing system, strengthens cortisol rhythm, and sets the foundation for a stronger melatonin release later that night. Think of it like setting the accuracy of a clock. If morning light is weak or delayed, your entire sleep cycle shifts out of precision. Next is movement. Not intense exercise, just physical activation. Walking, stretching, or any light movement signals to your nervous system that the active phase of the day has begun. This helps stabilize your alertness curve, preventing random energy crashes later that disrupt sleep timing. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your brain builds sleep pressure throughout the day. This is a biological system that tracks wakefulness and gradually increases the need for deep sleep. But that system only works properly if your day is structured correctly. If you nap too long or consume constant dopamine stimulation through scrolling and instant rewards, you reduce natural sleep pressure. That means when night arrives, your brain is not biologically ready for deep restoration, and you end up lying in bed tired, but not sleepy. There is a difference. Tired is physical exhaustion. Sleepy is neurological readiness. Only one leads to deep sleep. So if you want real cognitive recovery at night, your daytime behavior must support the buildup of sleep pressure while protecting circadian timing. Morning light, stable wake time, controlled stimulation, and natural energy rhythm. These are not productivity hacks. They are sleep engineering tools. Because if your day is chaotic, your night cannot be deep. And in the final part, we bring everything together into a complete nightly protocol, a step-by-step biohacking system that transforms your sleep into a consistent state of deep cognitive recovery, neural reset, and mental clarity. Now we arrive at the integration point, because understanding sleep is useless unless you can execute it. This is where we turn everything into a simple, repeatable system your brain can recognize every single night. A system that does not rely on motivation, discipline, or guesswork. Just biology. First, you anchor your sleep schedule. Not perfectly, but consistently. Your brain is a prediction machine. It learns when sleep is expected. When you go to bed and wake up at similar times, you strengthen circadian reliability. And when circadian reliability increases, deep sleep becomes deeper and faster to enter. Inconsistent timing destroys that prediction system. Even if you sleep enough hours, the quality fragments. Now step 2, the transition window. The 60 to 90 minutes before sleep is not free time. It is neurochemical programming time. This is where you remove stimulation, reduce cognitive load, and signal safety to your nervous system. No high-intensity content, no problem solving, no emotional input spikes. Instead, you downshift the brain. Slow activities, low light, predictable routine. Because repetition tells the brain nothing important is happening now. And safety is the entry code for deep sleep. Step 3, temperature control. Your environment must support the body's natural drop in core temperature. Cool room, light bedding adjustments, warm pre-sleep shower if needed to trigger cooling rebound. You are not trying to force sleep. You are aligning with thermoregulation biology. Step 4, breathing regulation. This is your direct nervous system override. Slow exhalation breathing reduces sympathetic activation and increases parasympathetic dominance. In simple terms, it tells your brain, threat response off, and when threat response is off, deep sleep becomes accessible. Step 5, mental closure. This is one of the most powerful yet ignored tools. Your brain cannot fully sleep if it believes something is unresolved. So you externalize it. You offload thoughts, tasks, and concerns before bed, not to solve them, but to remove them from active processing loops. Because unclosed loops keep neural circuits partially awake. Now, when all of this is combined, something powerful happens. Your sleep stops being random. It becomes structured, predictable, deep. And over time, your brain begins to trust the process, which is the final secret most people never understand. The goal is not perfect sleep tonight. The goal is conditioning your nervous system to enter deep sleep automatically over time. Because once that conditioning is complete, your brain begins self-optimizing every night without effort. Memory becomes sharper, emotional stability increases, mental fatigue decreases, and cognitive recovery becomes automatic. That is the real biohack. Not hacking sleep once, but retraining the brain to prioritize deep sleep as its default state. And when that happens, you don't just sleep better. You wake up as a fundamentally clearer, more restored version of yourself every single day.